This is Kimberly Quinn, host of the Mindcraft podcast, and I can't tell you how much fun I have had doing this podcast. I started when the world closed over the pandemic in an attempt to spread some positivity out there and give people some strategies to enhance their own well-being and reduce anxiety and all of that. Now, 2 years later, we're still going strong and now listened to by 52 countries across the world. And I've even helped some of my students get going with their own podcasts. It's super easy to do. And I'll tell you, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it is the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. I'll just explain for you. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor is totally free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. It is a ball. Start today. Greetings, Minecrafters, and welcome to another Minecraft discussion. This is a glorious morning here, actually, and my name is Kimberly Quinn, and I am very, very happy to be talking about prioritizing solitude in one's life. I actually just I did a similar but different video cast out in the woods today. A friend of mine from Champlain calls them the magical woods, and she is right. They really are. And I was sort of just inspired today by Sarah von Bresnik, and she also was inspired by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So he's like Mr. Solitude, right? And just how it's so important to bring this quiet and this serenity into our lives. And we often have to schedule this because, we are flying around like gerbils on crack. I mean, it's just how it is. And if it isn't, it's part of my daily routine because I'm fortunate enough to live in the country. And I realize that's not true for everyone. And some people might say they're fortunate enough to live in the city, right? It's different strokes for different folks. And even if you live in an urban area, there are certainly ways to carve out that serene time, that solitude that we all need. I don't care how extroverted you are. On the scale of extroverted, I'm like, love people. I get charged by being around people. And however, in the woods, don't want a crowd. If we go down to Stowe, which is beautiful, it's about an hour south of here. It's beautiful. Of course, Stowe's known all over the world for being gorgeous. However, since everybody knows that, it's packed. So I love being around a lot of people, except not in my magical woods. No, no, no. So Sarah starts out with a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson, and he said, "There are voices which we hear in solitude, but they grow faint and inaudible as we enter into the world." And wow, I mean, she obviously did her homework before she wrote her book, Simple Abundance, because isn't that the truth? And doesn't he say this so well? We've got it all going on internally. How many times, even have we just been in a hot bath or a quiet hot shower, or taken, even somewhere that's not, deep into the woods or something, and the whispers start to try to talk to us. Our inner voice starts to try to talk to us. Or even maybe just out in the backyard, we've got a moment of peace, or even in Central Park. You can find a quiet corner in Central Park in the Big Apple, and we start to hear, ourselves talking to us about our lives and how it's going, and what we're kind of growing out of, and maybe what we're kind of growing into. And the minute we kind of enter back into the noise, the whispers just fade away. And then Sarah sort of comments on this. And this first little tiny bit she writes really is what inspired, also with Ralph, of course, inspired me on my walk in the magical woods this morning. When Sarah said, "It's impossible to experience solitude regularly for any extended length of time without personal passions and authentic longings surging to the surface of our awareness. Once you have embarked on the search for your own authentic style, followed the wisdom of your own heart, and have seen the results begin to blossom in your life, you realize that solitude cracks open the door that opens two worlds: the life we lead today and the life we yearn for so deeply." I know I've mentioned before that it's just it doesn't cease to amaze me how when I start to listen to all the great thinkers, and I've talked about Wayne Dyer, and of course my good friend Oprah, and Abraham Hicks, and it's interesting that when we're open and receptive, when we're in receptive mode, we're on the authentic path. We are growing by leaps and bounds, even if we don't realize it in this moment. It's amazing how the words, the thoughts of different people, of these great thinkers who are so tapped in, tuned on, and all that is, what does she say? Tapped in, tuned on, and something anyway, really plugged in to hearing our inner voice, really in receptive mode, how it all, what other people are saying, really, it all gels. They're really saying the same things, in different ways. And Abraham Hicks has talked a lot about your heart, actually, Wayne Dyer too, about your heart's desire, and how when we're in the moment, it doesn't mean we're not in the moment. We are in the moment because this is our now. And it's sort of this inner conversation that we're having with ourselves when it's authentic. We're not talking about letting our mind just go on autopilot with all kinds of thought chatter that just that's there is no bigger thief of life minutes than autopilot. We're not talking about that. We're talking about authentic, in the moment, listening to that inner voice and having that internal conversation. It's just so genuine and divine, for lack of a better way to say it, whether if you it's universe or source, capital S, or whatever, that our heart's desire starts to surface. It just starts to surface. Maybe we're looking to improve a relationship, maybe to get out of one, maybe to get in one, maybe to maybe we're ready for something new at work, and not even saying something's bad at work. Maybe we're just sort of, it's like kind of stagnant. It's just there's no more growth, or you're just plain bored. It doesn't have to necessarily be something huge, but our inner voice starts to speak to us. There's a lot more for you. There's a lot more for you waiting. And the solitude, there's a direct connection to solitude and having whatever's waiting happen. Because if we can't hear our own inner voice, well, obviously, whatever is trying very hard to manifest can't. And then Sarah says, we can all find ways to regenerate once we realize how essential solitude is to our experience of inner harmony. Tilly Olson wrote in her story, Tell Me a Riddle, of a woman who, quote, would not exchange her solitude for anything, never again be forced to move to the rhythm of others, end quote. I love that. Wow. While most of us probably find ourselves moving to the rhythm of others more than we would like, once we learn to respect and cherish our need for solitude, opportunities will arrive in which we can learn to nourish our imaginations and nurture our souls. Wow. Here's the thing too. I like how she says once we learn to respect and cherish our need, okay? And we could translate this into, or transfer this into other areas of self-care as well, right? But I love how she has respect and cherish. I love the word cherish. Cherish is like a savoring for the soul. Just knowing, just knowing ourselves and knowing that we are loved and and wanted to the party, just cherishing and embracing ourselves. And then when we cherish and embrace ourselves, we certainly are better able to cherish and embrace other people. Here, though, she's specifically talking about cherishing our need for solitude. Wow. I mean, that says put it at the top of the list, which also feeds into the whole concept of needing to keep ourselves filled up. We cannot give what we do not have. We cannot give what we do not have. And my dear friend Oprah says it frequently. And she says, picture a cup of tea, of water, of cranberry juice, of whatever. Picture that right up to the top. That is what's for us. Our cup is full. That's for us. Whatever overflows out of the cup, now that's for everybody else. And then the rest of that sentence after cherish our need for solitude is opportunities will arrive. Just right there, opportunities will arrive. That means the abundance of the universe is landing in our laps. That's what that is saying, in which we can learn to nourish our imaginations, Even Einstein, who obviously valued knowledge, valued imagination more. Okay? And then she says, learn our imaginations and nurture our souls. Nurture our souls. Not take a look, take a peek, sit next to, admire. Nurture. That means I picture, when I think of nurturing, I think of actually being a young mother and breastfeeding. I also picture any kind of, rubbing a child's back or a partner's back, bringing a partner, a child, or family member, best friend, some warm chicken noodle soup when they're sick, and putting on a warm blanket, and maybe putting on a mindless something for, movie for them to watch. Nurturing is just it's love amped up by hands-on attention, is what that is. Nurturing our souls. And then Sarah tells us, she says, begin slowly but resolutely. Take comfort in knowing that even stolen moments of solitude, quarter-hour increments, eventually can add up to a lifetime of serenity. Be patient. Don't expect too much too soon, especially when rearranging your schedule means dealing with your family's expectations and what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. Be patient. And I like that. And of course, as many of you, if you listen to previous episodes, you will be used to me saying that the good Lord tossed a lot of gifts into my gift bag as I entered this earth, and patience is not one of them. So whenever I read that with anything that's sort of directing me to something self-care oriented, I just take a big deep breath. Okay, it's time to practice patience once again. Practice patience once again. And Sarah also sort of referred to even stolen minutes of solitude. That just makes me think, I totally get that. And at the same time, it sounds kind of crazy to me because our life minutes belong to us. This is our most valuable, our most precious commodity is our life minutes, if you think about it, right? So stealing these, I guess, seems like breaking into your own piggy bank, like telling yourself, I'm just buying $5 from us or something. It's just kind of strange, though it can feel like that because the world wants to break into our piggy bank of life minutes, and it does because we allow it to, right? The world is constantly breaking into our bank of life minutes. So in a sense, I guess we're kind of taking them back. We're putting up a big old boundary. Stay out of my piggy bank of life minutes. Yeah. And then Sarah ends with, she says, and for those days, maybe even today, when you don't have a moment for yourself, take to heart the advice of photographer Minor White, that's an interesting name, Minor White, who discovered that no matter how slow the film, spirit always stands still long enough for the photographer it has chosen. So I'd like to thank all of you for listening. I hope that you got something out of today's conversation about prioritizing solitude in your life. I was just having a chat with my Minecrafters this week. A little bit different context, but very similar. Last anybody checked, this is our only go around here. Life is not a dress rehearsal. This is the big game. So prioritize yourself, nurture your spirit by prioritizing solitude in your life, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes. And I guess that's it. This is Kimberly Quinn signing off from Northern Vermont. Have a mindful day.